And just on the mention of gaffer tape, I saw you guys put some up on the wall here. Anyway, on gaffer tape in New York, when I was painting, before I ever got overseas, in that first year I was painting and trying to survive as a self-taught painter, the first time I was showing, it was in an outdoor show in New York City, which is, they had no space, they wouldn't let me in and all this kind of stuff. And I walked around and I looked and I found a space on the law school wall in the village, a big brick wall going up. And I went in and I said, hey, if I can hang canvases on that wall and not damage it in any way and not put any nails in and whatnot, will you let me do it? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, I ended up putting them 12 feet high with gaffer tape, right? I mean, big mothers, 4x6 canvases and this and that. That got me the money that I actually went overseas on. And the gaffer tape, I don't know if it was 3 or 4 or 5 years later, little pieces were still on the wall, the law school wall, when I came back on a visit. I had never been to Spain in my life. My wife had never been overseas. I wanted to get out of the country. I wanted to get back somewhere on the Mediterranean. I wanted to go back and sort of pick up my heritage in some sense or other, place to work out my paintings, a place that was inexpensive, and a place that was not modern. Boom. All right. Why Spain? Spain was under Franco then, and there was all kinds of negatives and whatnot, but also was the oldest and the one that hadn't picked up to modernity yet. And this is 1962, not far after World War II. And anyway, that was Spain. We packed up and went, and speaking no Spanish, I don't know, $600 or $650, and that was it. And we landed and began our life in Spain. It was wonderful. I don't remember a bad day in the entire 28 years. As far as the people of Spain, when you speak of Spain, you're speaking of 17 different countries. We were in Andalucia. That's one of the countries, actually, in the south. And we lived in Andalucia the whole time. We traveled all of Spain and got to know most of the others. Mediterranean civilizations just go back so far, like back into Paleolithic, Neolithic. I've been in Neolithic caves from 8,000 BC, where you're looking at drawings and paintings of life as it existed then. You could relate to it even today. The same people are living there, the inheritors of that, the same pueblos, villages that were there at the time of the Romans at 100 AD or BC, that are still there today. And with 4 coats of calcium on the walls each year to keep them clean and to keep them from falling apart, that calcium becomes organic and just flows like that. And the stairways flow and the buildings flow. And the whole thing's magnificent. And the people flow. They're very, very much what they are. They have problems like everybody else, I'm sure, but it's different problems than we do. It was a great place to live for those first 8 or 10 years. And then when tourists started to come in and it became a tourist haven, we got out of there, we went inland, and we were in an older place in a way than even we were originally on the coast. And we stayed by ourselves up there on the edge of a bull ranch for the next 20 some odd years. The leaving Spain came out of the original incident of just blowing out my left bundle branch. And then I went through 8 years of weekly, or many times weekly, sometimes, fibrillations, some of which are quite serious. And it became obvious, I got to get out of there. Spain may be very many things in those days, but it wasn't the best medical that one could get. And the prime thing was to hang around to see your grandchildren or your grandchildren's children or something. And so I better get out of there. And we came back to the States. We had no idea where we were going. And it just so happened by a bunch of circumstances, I sort of lost everything on the way out without knowing it. Turned it over to the wrong people, but it went. So we came in with about the same amount we went out with, which is okay, and good challenge. And where are we going to stay? We started in Santa Fe. My daughter lives down there. She's a sculptor. And it was nice and it was pretty and this and that. And I wanted to come up to Aspen to take a look because of my memories from the ski troops, the 5 or 6 times they had been here and the magnificence of the area. And we did. We came up. It so happened the following day I went by horse to Crest the Butte over Maroon Bells East. I came back walking, and I survived. I think it's 12,000 feet coming over the pass. And I didn't know I could make it at that altitude anymore. I said, this is it. And we came into town and happened to run into Bill Sterling's place, our ex-mayor here. And sure enough, he showed me a place. He liked my story. Came, showed me this. As I came down, Neil, he said, it's just up the river here. I said, on the river? He said, yeah. I said, I'll take it. And after so many years in Andalucia without water, and we ended up in Aspen. I've traveled all of the United States. I just don't know of any place that does it for me quite like this. And I'm not into cities and towns and communities very much, but I find this one very tolerable. My wife loves it and whatnot. I love the backcountry and going, but the two are hand in hand. The individuality that so many people seem to have here, I think comes from the individuality that exists, the strength, just the massive strength of what's around us and what has happened. It isn't the structures of today or what's put in place the last 30, 40 years. It's the weather, which is sublime, just as much as it was in southern Spain, more so. I like everything about it. You know, what has money got to do in your life, or the times you're flush, or the times you have nothing, and whatnot? Meaningless to me. Has no meaning at all. Doesn't even dent me one way or the other. As an artist, having moved from, we were fairly flush, as you call it, during the film years, we had worked into a situation where we were living in a penthouse in Lower Fifth Avenue and all of this, but still keeping our individuality, working all the time and loving it. And so when I quit all that, it was obvious it was over. But one's loss, I don't think there was any loss in going. It's I don't mean people should be poor or whatnot, but it sure gives you a lot of emphasis on putting effort in and desire and work and pulling stuff out of you.